Hello, you beautiful people. Welcome to another edition of the soon-to-be award-winning Late Challenge podcast. I am Mo Stewart. Over here, we have got Gareth Roberts, and we've got another hour at least of fantastic footy chat and non-footy chat to come at you. Now, I say we're soon-to-be award-winning. I want to clarify, we haven't actually been nominated for any awards. But you know what? We're in that level of quality, Robbo. Like, eventually, it's just going to happen if we just keep operating at this level.
If you keep doing stuff, you get better at it, and if you keep doing stuff, people eventually come. Last week's show, the most popular ever on the Late Challenge YouTube channel.
Exactly. Like, you cannot get any better than that. We are breaking new records. We are the most seller of podcasts. We are breaking new records every week. Now, 23,000, I mean, if you're trying to visualize how many people that is, that's more people that gets inside Brentford Stadium. That's more people that gets inside Bournemouth Stadium. That's almost a full Craven Cottage. So if you think about that, the last time you went to Craven Cottage, you looked all the way around the stadium. All of those people were listening to last week's show, and I want to thank all of you because, trust me, last week's show was not easy for a number of reasons. Like, you can probably already tell that my voice is a little bit more back to normal than it was last week. But yeah, you held the fort down big time last week.
Thanks,
so thank
you. Yeah. And look, nice one to everyone as well who, I suggested that maybe if you're watching on YouTube, you could click the little subscribe button because it helps us and doesn't cost you anything. And quite a few of you did that as well. So we've ticked over to 12 point something thousand subscribers as well now on YouTube. So that's good as well. Thanks, everyone. It all feels like it's just, doing all right. You know what I mean? Like, everything's growing, all the socials are growing, and more people are getting onto it. Lots of people. Well, I wasn't sure about that intro last week, whether to do it or not. Because you're behind the scenes.
Yeah, but those are the best ones.
It went down well.
It
went down well. Literally, like, can count on one hand. Well, one person who didn't like it.
Oh, yeah.
But everyone else thought, yeah, sound, totally get why you've done that.
And I mean, I think it kind of feeds into the way that we think. So it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, well, they've just done it just to get views. It's kind of how we are, really. Yeah. So it was almost just like, if you were into the show already and you saw that, you're like, yeah, sounds like these two. So thank you all for coming and joining us. And if you've only just come off the back of that, this is your maiden voyage. Welcome. It's going to be more like this. And this is only part one. We should always point out this is still only part one. Our agenda is packed today. So there's a high chance that we won't get everything we want to say in the first free show here on YouTube. We will be doing a second show on Patreon where we'll be doing all of the extra stuff. There's also going to be quite a lot more music chat, a lot more DJing chat for those of you who enjoy those kind of things over there. So if you want to join us over on Patreon, you can with a very minimal subscription, or maybe even take out the free trial for this one just to see how you feel about it. But there's plenty of all of that to come. I want to give a special shout out to everybody who wished me well, wished me to get well soon, help me try to battle this absolute disgusting lurgy. Shout out also to anyone who's been fighting it with me, Ian Salmon in particular. He's been going through it, but...
And then shout out to the person in Patreon who's just like, can you just turn Mo's mic up?
Yeah.
Oh, shout. Not like, is Mo all right?
Yeah.
Just turn his fucking mic up, will you?
Just slap him around a bit, it'll be sound. It's fine. The show must go on. I get that point. But, genuinely, thanks for all of you well wishers. It really did help. Like, I'm not going to lie, last week, after I left you here, that was the peak of last week. It pretty much went downhill for about 3 or 4 days to the point where I didn't even get to go to the match, which I really, really regretted. But I'm here now. I'm ready. I didn't give you the lurgy either, which I know you were worried about.
Although it does still sound like you've got it a bit.
I've got it a little bit. Look,
here's another 2 hours in a room, breathing in your fumes. But we'll see.
You'll be fine. Trust me.
I hope so.
You're more robust than you think you are.
Not sure about that, That's another story. Slowly but surely things start to be breaking on me, it feels like. But anyway, yeah, I'll keep some things personal.
Yeah. So save that for the Patreon show, lad. You've got some dispatches you wanted to read out.
Yes, indeed. First off, mate of the show, Phil Keeley. Hiya, Phil, if you're watching. Phil is running the Dublin Half Marathon on Sunday, March the 30th. I'm fundraising on behalf of the Alzheimer's Society of Ireland. If you watch on YouTube, there is a link in the description if you'd like to throw in for Phil. It's something that's close to his heart, something that's close to mine as well. Someone close to Phil has been diagnosed with it. This is something that I've had issues with in my family as well. If you want to throw in for Phil, you can do. And like I say, the link is there. So there's the shout out for that. Go ahead, Phil. Phil will smash that, by the way. He stayed at mine fairly recently and went off on some big mad run all over Crosby.
Nice.
And I was just like, whoa. So he's in Nick. He'll get it smashed. He'll get it done. And yeah, throw in if you can. The other shout out was long-term listeners, stroke watchers might remember that way back when there was a discussion, I think, on a Patreon show about basically how you decorate your gaff, what you put in it, how you decide what to put up, why you avoid live, life, love, or whatever that thing is in Home and Bargains. But you know what I mean? Like how you personalise your gaff, what you're into, what you like, what you want to do with it, all of that kind of stuff. We talked a little bit about that pure middle-age gear. And I was saying, just in passing on the conversation, that one thing I'd seen and wanted to do was basically have my first ever gig ticket blown up, framed and put on the wall, etc.
Yeah.
And someone very kindly at that time, which is a long time ago now, it's over a year ago I think, got in touch off the back of listening to that show and said, all right, Robbo, I could sort that for you, And I do that thing with emails where I'm like, right, I'll mark that back as unread and then deal with it. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'll go back to him. That's a very kind offer and all that. And it was just unread forever. Do you know what I mean? And I even come on here a few times. And I was like, mate, if that was you, I'm really sorry. I will get back to you. It's a very kind offer. I actually want to take you up on it. But, my head's chocker and I've got stuff to do. Anyway, eventually, after like absolutely ages, I got back to him. Then he was like, okay, obviously send me the picture of the ticket.
Yeah.
And I said, okay. And then I was a bit of a cheeky bastard and I said, you couldn't do me Istanbul one as well, could you?
2 for 1, why not?
And he did. And like over the weekend, Sunday, these amazingly blown up, framed, everything like superb arrived at my flat and I was so happy.
Incredible.
And like, I've got other stuff that I need to put up on the walls that have just been like kicking around in the spare room, etc. With these, I was like, oh yes, bang, bang, get in. And like, I'm just honestly, like absolutely superb. So that was Mike and his business is called Spring Creative Design. I have no idea if anyone will ever use Spring Creative Design or even go and look them up. But www.springcreative.co.uk feels like the least I can do. Mike Howell, what a fella. Thanks very much, mate. You cheered me up. And, there are good people in the world.
Absolutely. Particularly ones who can be patient with us and the amount of different things we're trying to do at the same time. But no, to be honest, that sounds like my kind of thing. Like,
you know what? They were so good when they rocked up as well that I just thought, I feel really bad now. And I was like, mate, come on, like, let me cover the costs at least or whatever. And he's just like, no. He's like, call it a thank you for all the enjoyment you've given me through the shows. And I was like,
what a legend.
What a fella.
I know. There you go.
So my ticket, ride.
Of course it was.
At the Royal Court. it's that like old school ticket as well, where like Liverpool Royal Court Theatre, like Phil McIntyre Promotions presents or something like that.
Yeah.
All of that. Yeah. And then just honestly, the ticket's like faded, dog-eared, little bit missing off it. It was even cancelled, so it was originally like earlier in March. Then they like crossed that out and just stamped it 16th of March, 1992, I think it was. And just everything about it, and like I think he's put like a bit of a, like a Photoshoppy thing on it to like make it. It looks 3D, essentially.
Amazing.
It's like when you walk in the room, you're like, whoa, boss. Yeah. So I'm so made up. Yeah, I'll stop going on about it now. But thanks, mate.
No,
again.
I feel like it's something that you're well entitled to keep going on about. I mean, the ride, maybe less so, but the actual present and...
Saying about ride?
I'm just saying you need to expand your horizons.
Going to see Andy Bell on Thursday.
I know, that's what I'm saying. This is kind of the point
Not
I'm making.
Not of Erasure fame, of ride fame.
No, I just got visions of you inviting him back to your flat and him just seeing that up there.
Imagine?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, whoa, you were at that?
Oh, Yes.
I'm going to manifest that now.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll have to wait and see. We are going to be doing some very much geek chat in the near future, so stick around for that. But we should probably talk about football, and Liverpool, because they're still pretty good. I mean, I'm not sure how much you might have seen in the last 7 days, but they're still good. Liverpool are currently 13 points clear at the top of the Premier League, ahead of Arsenal, who have, even though Liverpool play one game more, that's still a significant gap. The good old Opta supercomputer currently has, I said, a 98.8% likely to win the Premier League. Like, I'm not sure what odds you get on that, but not very, very
Nothing worth bothering with. I mean, like, just laughing as you were reading that out, because I know you haven't got the comments in front of you, but I have. And there's actually someone in the comments right now on the live show going, it's actually a 10-point lead. We've played an extra game. Yeah, you'd assume an Arsenal win the game in under, yeah.
And I literally just said that.
Yeah.
But anyway, the point is that until that game, Arsenal's game in hand has kicked off and they've won it, it's 13 points. Yeah, and in fact, seeing Liverpool play Southampton at home before Arsenal have to play their next game away at Old Trafford, it could be 16. It highly likely will be 16 points. So yes, Liverpool
100 to 1 on.
100 to 1 on. That's ridiculous. Like, you can get 100 to 1 on for me touching my head between now and the end of the show. That's insane. Like, I don't think that anybody, I'm not a betting expert by any means, but I don't think you'll get anybody putting anything on anyone else.
Well, no one's going to put 100 quid on to win a quid, are they?
Not even Rob Gutman. But yeah, so obviously the last round of fixtures, Liverpool won, Arsenal didn't. They drew another blank away at Nottingham Forest. They're third in the last 4 games. Arsenal fans bemoaning their bad luck and thinking, oh, woe is us, how will we ever survive? But also bemoaning Liverpool's good luck, because in the game against Newcastle just gone, obviously Alexander Isak didn't play after having faced Man City without Erling Haaland. And then at the weekend, Newcastle in their game against Brighton, Anthony Gordon, he of the Deirdre Barlow haircut, according to my girlfriend, he managed to get himself suspended for the League Cup final by doing something really, really stupid.
He's more Claire Bolden, isn't he, surely?
You know what, actually? Well, I mean, the feathering, yeah, I'll give you that. But the colouring, I think it is a bit more Deirdre. But I digress. The point is that Liverpool are now not going to have to face him in that League Cup final. And in that game against Brighton, Isak, who came back into the game, went off injured again in what may well have been a recurrence of that injury that made him miss the Anfield game. So Liverpool are getting so lucky, everyone's talking about, and it's like, oh, Liverpool lucky. You can't believe how lucky they've been. They've signed a deal with the devil, or, I mean, some people think we are the devil's club. To all you blues out there, etc., etc.
Who cares?
So I wanted to talk about luck. And luck in general, right? Because according to the internet, quite a few people care. I'm like you, they shouldn't, but they do. This is the internet. We know what they're like. So let's talk about luck, right? Luck is an important component of winning anything. Anything. Like, tell me someone who's won something that didn't have any part of luck involved at all. Like Man City, when they've been imperiously winning Premier League titles, they've had a Liverpool injury crisis that's gone their way. They've had an Arsenal injury crisis that's gone their way. Even the first time they went around, when they
the ball that was something millimeters not over the line.
So, little sidebar about that. I watched the Premier League years for 18-19 a couple of days ago while I was in my sick bed, and it was funny because there was so much of that I was watching, just thinking, oh, God, we were really good this year. And it was kind of making me feel good. Oh, another Liverpool win. And then that game came up and I was just like, like, so that the millimeters, I'm still not over it, because that we were that close to not only winning the league, but an unbeaten league winning season, because that was the only defeat we had that whole season. Anyway, I digress. But this is the point. City have had their fair share of luck. Like, you can go out there and look at all of the screenshots of all of the handballs and penalties not given over the years.
Yeah.
Like, luck has happened. And then if you look at it in the other way,
at Goodison.
exactly, that was the one that I think most people are thinking of. You look at it the other way though. Man City in the Champions League, they've been the best team so many times over the course of the Guardiola era. They've won it once, and a lot of that is down to bad luck. So good luck, bad luck. Luck has a large indicator of who wins what. It's just how it is.
And it's why we love footy. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, I don't get why everyone's like wringing their hands over it. Like, some of, the fact that despite, a financially doped opponent hoovering up, X number of titles, etc., we can still win the thing. And there is a level of chance, a level of luck, a level of the unknown. That's why we go. That's why the stadiums are full. That's why we love the things. That's why it's sport. Like, there's always, even in the most one-sided match, like a puncher's chance.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, that's why, we talked about it at the time, but, like, that's why in, the previous round or whatever it was, when Orient scored against City, and in the match, it was like, fuck it! Get it, yeah! And like, that wasn't luck, that was judgment, that was skill, whatever you want to call it. Might be looked at, it bounced in off the keeper, all of that. But like, it's the idea there isn't any in the game. You know what I mean? And like, I just don't give a flying one about all the stuff I keep seeing online. I just buzz off it, really. I mean, I get that, like, content creators are gonna like do all this stuff about how hard done to Arsenal are, and like I would expect them to do that. I do think though, like, if you're turning up on like mainstream programs, or you're on Sky Sports or whatever, you should maybe do a little bit more research and sit there saying, oh yeah, Liverpool have been great, Paul Merson, but now, but they've been lucky with injuries. What, were we lucky when Alisson was out? Was we lucky when Jota's been out? It isn't like we've had no injuries whatsoever. Also, is it lucky to employ a fella and a team of staff that are known for getting the most out of a squad and have got a great injury record and a great record at keeping people on the pitch, and then we are now benefiting from getting someone in who knows what they're doing around all that? I would suggest that isn't luck, that is judgment.
So the injuries, that's probably the best part to drill down in this whole luck chat, because as you rightly said, all the rest of it is variance, and it's kind of what we love about football. So injuries, these are the things that can be cruel, that can cut you down in your prime. Last season, Liverpool's injury list was shocking.
Yeah.
Like, it was the worst a lot of players had ever seen in their whole careers, in terms of we had like, what was it, 12 first teamers out around the League Cup final last year?
Can't
like,
remember now. I just remember, a lot of young lads appearing on the pitch.
Yeah, but it was multiple players in the same positions, and it was all across the pitch. It wasn't just highlighted in one area of the pitch. It was everywhere. And Liverpool still won a trophy. Liverpool still managed to finish third. Like, let's not forget, go back to 2021, we had no centre halves at all,
and no one cared.
And then all of the makeshift centre halves we threw in, they also got injured, so we had to pull Reece Williams out of League Two and Nat Phillips out of God knows where, and make do amend with them, and we finished third in that season as well. And then you talk about Arsenal and the injuries that they've had to deal with. So I looked at this, right? Over the last 3 seasons, they've had 2 big title runs, and then there's this season. So in the last 2 seasons ago, they had 7 players who featured in 34 out of 38 league games. That's the majority of league games. And 7 players is the majority of a team. So most of your team are available for nearly all the games. The season after, last season when we were going through our injury crisis, they had 9 players. 9 players featuring 34 out of 38 games. This season, currently, if you kind of do it to 24 out of 27 games, they've got 7 players. And yes, you can say that all of their forwards are out injured, etc., right? If I was to say to you, at the beginning of this season, who are Arsenal's 6 best players? 6 best players. You would say the goalkeeper, the 2 centre-halves, Declan Rice, Odegaard, and Saka, right? I think most of you would say the same. 4 of those players are still fine. 4 of those players have played nearly every league game. It's just Odegaard and Saka are the only ones who have been missing. So you can say that Arsenal have been unlucky, but they still had the majority of their very best players available for the majority of the games. There's not really much more that you can do outside of that. So even within the context of them saying that they've had this hopeless injury crisis, they've still had it better than most.
And when they've had the full team, they still weren't top of the league. They still, like we've been top of the league pretty much all season long, haven't we?
Yeah.
And it's like, there just is no chat about us being undeserving. Like, and look, no one cares. Like, I won't care when I've got a pint in my hand when it's done. I won't care when I see, a Premier League trophy and red ribbons and a bus going around the city. I won't care when, the DVD comes out or we look back at it and, a future time and say, oh, remember that? That was great, wasn't it? No one's going to go, oh, remember that Arsenal had injuries that season. Who gives a flying fuck? All it is like, other fans of other clubs who don't like us, Arsenal fans, whatever, then journalists on top of that who will, basically some of them will fall into the same category because guess what? Journalists support football clubs as well. And I'm just not bothered. No. There isn't a bad way to win a league. There isn't an undeserving way to win a league. We've gone through every possible, like nearly men and miles off and all of that in all the time I've been going the match. And I'm loving every minute of this season and I can't wait until it comes around. And now we just get to sort of find out, wait and see, when is it? Do Arsenal keep falling? Do Arsenal start winning? Does it get to the game when we play them? Will they end up doing a guard of honour? Where does it go? When does it happen? Don't know, but looking forward to finding out.
Absolutely.
Great. And we've got the Champions League as well.
Yeah, exactly. And we're going to talk about that.
And the League Cup final.
Oof. And we're going to talk about that too. But it's I agree with you 100%. Like, normally this is the kind of thing that I wouldn't spend too much time on and too much scope on, but I've seen so much of it. And so much of it has ignored some of the really important facts within it. So that's kind of why I was talking. So if you're one of those people and you've got Arsenal fans or other fans in your family or in your friends group and they're all like this, yabba, yabba, yabba in your ear, then here are some facts for them. We've already laid out the injury stuff. Let's talk about the strikers missing. The Erling Haaland missing the game against Liverpool. Erling Haaland's missed every game against Liverpool he's played because he's not really been very good against Liverpool. I think I could say this out loud.
Did an interview saying, like, how good Virgil is?
Yeah. So he's played 6 times for Man City against Liverpool, scored twice, one of which was in the League Cup, the first game after the World Cup, one of which was in his very first league game. 2 games out of 6. I think it's a goal every 262 minutes against Liverpool, which when you consider his record against everybody else, is not very good at all. So you can look at it and say, yes, there's a difference between a Man City with Haaland and a Man City without Haaland. But when they're playing Liverpool, it's hard to tell that difference, really. Now, with Isak, I think it's fair to say that Newcastle look a different side when he's in. And he does look very good against Liverpool. But, and now here's the thing about how Liverpool are lucky for him to not play there. Because here is the real truth about managers not playing half-fit players against Liverpool. Do you know why they don't do it? Because it's bloody hard to play against Liverpool.
And also, they got knocked out anyway, but I suspect that Eddie Howe looked at the bigger picture and thought, do you know what? Liverpool are absolutely brilliant at home. Hardly anyone's a match for them at Anfield. This is a really tough place to go. Our record here is absolutely horrendous as well. On
1994,
top of everything else. Yeah.
Last time they won here.
And, all of those things considered, it's like, okay, haven't won a domestic trophy or, let's be honest, a trophy of note since the 1955 or whatever it is. We'll go for the FA Cup. Yeah. And if Isak is a little bit of a doubt, I'm going to save him and play him against Brighton. And then that's not going to work. I'm going to get knocked out anyway. But, he doesn't know that at the time.
No.
And that's what it was. And that isn't again, it's not our fault. And it's not our problem. Of course it helps. But, even if you watch the game, it's like, if Isak had been there, well, maybe, of course you then enter depends how deep you want to go on this, an alternative timeline and all this kind of stuff. This doesn't happen and this doesn't happen. But let's just, for argument's sake, be really simple about it and just say, okay, the one chance pretty much that they get in the game where Wilson goes through, if that's Isak, yeah, that's probably a goal.
Probably a goal.
Wilson looked rusty as fuck, ballooned it, and yeah, I mean, I've thought at previous junctions in watching football that he was decent. He looked way off the decent version of himself.
Absolutely.
In that game. If that be an Isak flying, being playing like one of the best strikers in Europe, all the rest of it, it's probably in the back of the net. Okay? So set that aside then. We dominated the rest of the game.
Yes. That would have made it 1-1, by the way.
Yeah. We dominated their midfield. We dominated the game. It was actually quite comfortable, which was nice. Yeah. And bear in mind as well, this was the end of the 5 games in 15 days, which I was worried about. I'm sure we were all worried about. We thought, are we going to manage that? Are we going to get enough points? Are people going to get injured? Are we going to be knackered? All of these things. And then we were great.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? We come out of that with, 11 was it?
11.
And it's like, I'm absolutely made up with that. And I can't believe how many people were sort of shredding fingernails and wringing hands and moaning and whatever else. That is a brutal schedule for top-level football. And what a great job they did.
They did a fantastic job.
I mean?
And not only that, but the thing that I liked about it is that they were getting stronger as the run went on. So if you look at it, the Everton and the Wolves games were probably the ropiest performances, I think it's fair to say, out of that run of 5. Villa, there were patches where they kind of switched off mentally and Villa took advantage, but for the most part, I thought we were really good in that game. Then obviously away at City, we are superb.
Yeah.
And then they backed it up again against Newcastle. So, like you say, that run of 5 that would have tested absolutely anybody, that everyone was saying is like make or break. Like, if you get through this, then you've broken the back of this title race. And look what happened. That's exactly what's happened. We have broken the back of this title race coming through this game. And we've done it with mostly not making that many different changes.
No.
Like Robbo and
yeah.
Simicast come in for a couple of the games, but which kind of, I'm going to write an article about this in the next couple of days, so I'm not going to go too heavy on it. But I did want to touch a little bit about Harvey Elliott, because he played 1 minute in those 5 games. And
starting to feel a little, I mean, the rumours are starting now, aren't they, as well? I've seen that, and it's all like, yeah, it doesn't massively look like he fancies him.
No, it's a difficult one for Harvey, because he knows what he can do on a football pitch. He's got nothing but belief in his ability, and he's been able to show it time and time again under Jurgen. And he will think that he's had flashes of times where he's been able to show it this season under Arne Slot. But the 2 biggest kind of auditions he's had in recent times, away in PSV and away at Plymouth, neither of them went his way.
No.
And the ability to have a bad game, anyone can have a bad game. But when you know you're not going to get a chance to rectify it, and then you're looking at 5 games down the run, you're looking at the kind of games Liverpool got to come, the massive games against PSG, title clinching kind of situations, and he's sitting there thinking, I'm not going to get a sniff here. It must be so demoralising.
Imagine if he was here, or his now increasingly more famous dad was here, they may well say, well, if you're giving me a chance when all the good players are on the pitch, might be a little bit of a different story. Like, people might read me passes, or, the movements will be better, or whatever. But yeah, I absolutely take the point. And like, he says it, doesn't he, Slot, that like, these are your opportunities. It's similar with Chiesa, isn't it? It's like, me personally, I don't think he's done particularly much. I was going to say anything, but that'd be harsh, wouldn't it? But he's not done anything to warrant being in that first choice team, or even close to it, really, to be honest. I know, like, a couple of people seems, or some Reds got excited that he's got a shot on him, and he should have.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I always remember, like, my ex's our fella played pro. And he, like, you played for like Everton reserves, and then he played for like Wigan Athletic and Southport, both of when they were both league teams. So, you know, by all accounts, therefore, decent player. I heard that from other people as well, you know, that he was good. And like, you'd watch a game with him and he'd always be going like, you know, I don't get why like people like think it's like amazing if someone puts a decent ball in. They should put a decent ball in. and it's a bit of one of them with Chiesa. It's like, oh, Chiesa's got a good shot. Well, yeah. He's an international footballer. He's meant to have, and maybe we should be like, you know, expecting a little bit more than a decent shot on him for what we paid and what his reputation and all the rest of it. And look, we don't know the ins and outs of how he trains or whatever else, but
I think that's the key thing. But also, I don't know whether you saw Sky Sports did a thing with Arne Slot where they were asking him loads of questions. And one of the questions they were asking him was about what do you look for in a footballer, and the amount of emphasis that he put on speed, running power, the ability to change direction quickly, and the ability, it was very much like, well, all good players, if you're playing for Liverpool, you're a good technical player. Like, that is just the bare minimum. What I want to see is how hard you can work, how hard you can run, how fast you can run. And I mean, my dad, he kind of hates when people talk about, like, managers talk about just the run. It's like, go and be an athlete. Like, you want footballers to have skill and ability and all that kind of stuff. And
you have it all now, haven't you, basically?
But that's the point, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, because those things are just now meant to be a given. But you listen to him talk about the kind of player, what he wants out of a player. And if I'm Harvey listening to that, I'm just thinking, well, I can't suddenly, you know, shave for half a second off my fastest speed. I can't necessarily grow 40 pounds of muscle overnight. I'm not going to grow 4 inches in height. This is, when it comes to the physical attributes, this is me. Like, you'll get nothing but 100% effort, but this is it.
I've always liked him, I've got to be honest. Like, you know, I've always thought, obviously, he's got something which you can see he's got, and, you know, we've seen it on enough occasions, but it does seem that he sort of arrived at a place, even maybe before Slot, where it was like, his best is as an impact player, as, you know, coming off the bench, you know, won his points and all the rest of it by doing that. And obviously, he wants more than that. And then I think he was probably thinking like that anyway, thinking, well, I've got a chance to impress on the new manager. But it's literally like when you look at the first team, if you like, and you can, you know, if you put up all the minutes of the whole team, you can see the first team, can't you? And it's like, who are you displacing? If everyone's fit, if everyone's on form.
And that's the thing, isn't it? It's like, do you then, if your Slot starts thinking, well, maybe I need to try and protect Szoboszlai and Salah a bit more. I need to start taking them off on 70, 75, 80 and start giving the likes of Chiesa and Elliott 15, 20 minutes, because in the worst case scenario where one of those two gets an injury, then I'm going to need to rely on them a bit more. And then that's the balance, isn't it? It's like, do you keep them ticking over, even if you don't believe that they're going to be able to good enough to start a full game for you, just on the off chance that something goes wrong with those other two, but also maybe minimising the chance of something going wrong with those two. But then it's like, I mean, football, it's not like a charity. You can't just be giving out minutes for players, just, you know.
And he won't, will he? Like, you know, he's very, you can tell with Slot's very single-minded, very much has a plan around absolutely everything, and isn't really bothered about any outside noise. So, and look, it's interesting as well. I know, like, there's obviously the usual, or has been, all the usual fuss over it and all the rest of it. You know, they've pretty much kept the powder dry on spending. And so whatever happens about the contracts, and the noises seem to be, as you know, fairly positive about the two we expect to sign, and then the same about Trent, who we expect not to. And then it's like, okay, what are we doing now then? And, you know, and he's literally trotting out like, I want this type of player, I want that. I mean, they're not going to sit on their hands this summer.
No,
like,
you'd like to think so.
I mean, look, I come on here a fair bit, don't I, and rip people who, like, you know, are obsessed with all that kind of stuff and seem to ignore the fact that we've actually got a team who are about to win the league over here. But there's no way they can sit on their hands again.
So there's a line in the new Klopp documentary, which we will be talking about at some point as well, where he says that I'm not one of these people who believes that signings are always the solution, but sometimes they are.
Yeah.
And that was in the lead up to them signing Virgil van Dijk. So yeah, sometimes it is necessary, and you feel like this summer will be one of those times. But Liverpool and the transfer committee have made idiots of us all many times before, so I'm not going to go too heavy on that. What I am going to go heavy on now is talk about Liverpool's next football game. You've got that grin in your eye like something's just happened on the internet.
Yeah, Faster Tortoise has thrown £2 in and says Putin invades before May and it's null and void.
No. Come on, lads.
I mean, nice over the £2, but what have you thrown that in there for? Come on.
Look, just because the last time Liverpool won the league, the world decided to shit the bed, doesn't mean it's going to happen every single time. There was plenty of times that before like 1990, where Liverpool happily won the league and the world did not go to shit. So please.
It's like you've got that going on, and obviously, you know, all the nonsense with Trump and the big, you know, clearly staged situation that we all saw on our television. And then you've got the odds shortening every second that an asteroid's going to...
Oh, the asteroid could fuck off, right?
Imagine that, you can just see it now, can't you? The referee, like that Liverpool, finally, 20th league championship. The referee is about to blow his whistle. Oh, why has the sky gone like that?
Oh, no. No, you can just see Virgil van Dijk holding the Premier League trophy, and then you can just see the shadow of this thing coming towards you on the trophy. No. I'm sorry. I'm not having it.
Oi, God, no!
There's a callback for the kids there. Right, so let's talk Liverpool's next game, which is against PSG, and it's a big one. I call it the tie of the round. I think it is the tie of the round. You could argue that it's the two most informed teams in all of Europe going up against each other. Liverpool, we've already told you how great they are. PSG are currently on a run of 10 consecutive wins, 22 games unbeaten going back to the end of November. And the thing about PSG, this version of PSG, is that it's very easy for people who haven't watched them a lot to get lulled into the full sense of security that this is the old Mbappe, Neymar version of PSG. This ain't them. They are much better. They are what I would call an actual team of footballers rather than a collection of mercenaries. And that was what makes them very, very dangerous.
But they have spent dough as well.
They've spent money.
I mean? Like, you know, so they've got quality players, but quality players that cost money because they are, of course, funded by Qatar. But yeah, I mean, I watched some bits of them myself just to sort of get up to speed on what, you know, where they're at, what they're like, and all the rest of it. And yeah, it's very much not anymore. Give it to him and see what unfolds.
No.
There's a structure. There's, you know, the pressing high, the working hard, and then the scoring a lot of goals. And they're in a very similar situation to us, basically, aren't they? Like, other than the 3 that they lost in the Champions League group phases, they haven't been losing.
No.
And they've been scoring loads of goals. They looked out confident. You know, their manager said, you know, this probably could have been the final and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, no easy task, I think it's fair to say. And obviously it's away first. So I think old school European rules apply, don't they? Like, let's go there, you know, try and quieten the crowd, try and frustrate them for 15 minutes or so, and then see if you can start working your way into the game and nick one. What I'm like, you know, genuinely like, I'm now more up for it. I can sort of visualize it more, is because of what we did to City.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So it's like, do that, lads.
Yes,
because you might have to do that, lads.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like that type of a performance where everyone was absolutely putting it in, where you had, you know, Mo coming all the way back, where you had Szoboszlai, you know, left nothing out there, you know what I mean? He was completely done, cooked at the end. I think it's gonna have to be one of them away from home.
I do. I think it's going to be a real team performance needed where everybody is out there covering for everybody. Everybody's out there knowing that we might have to suffer in this game to get to where we need to be. And I think you're right. The City game was the perfect kind of set up, perfect platform to go out and say, look, this is what we need to do. Down to the fact that PSG's wingers, who will probably be Kvaratskhelia and Bradley Barcola, are two of the most dangerous points of their team. They're two players who, if you're under the cosh, their team can just give them the ball and go on, go and run at them, And obviously we've seen at different points this season, Trent and Robbo suffer from tricky guys running at them. So it's going to require their mates to come back over, Gravenberg, whether it's Konate, whether it's Salah and Diaz, to come over and really kind of double up and put the effort in. But
yeah, we definitely shouldn't be making, as fans, this is. I'm quite sure that the actual team manager, etc., will be more than briefed and aware of what they're facing. But we shouldn't do I mean, I am tempted a bit, obviously, but I'm not going to. But, we shouldn't do the Farmers League thing and all that, should we? Because they genuinely are good, aren't they? It's like, when you look at our front line or whatever, and you're like, we've got him, and we've got him, we've got him. I mean, like, the sensible fans who support other clubs will say, it's unbelievable what Liverpool have got up front, like. Same goes,
Absolutely.
Isn't it? Basically, for them, they've got all kinds of attacking talent there, haven't they?
And I think Ousmane Dembele is a really good kind of a yardstick for that, because loads of people I know don't rate him. Loads of people think, he's just rubbish, and see him as being kind of like part of the bad old days of PSG, and when he was at Barcelona, he didn't really do it. But they forget. He's one of those players. There are some players out there, I put Rafael in the same category as well, is where people seem to forget their good games and remember their bad games. So you think, he's never really impressed me, he's overrated. And it's like, mate, have you actually been watching him? And again, this season, since he's moved into the centre, he has been electrifying game after game after game. He is going to be a problem. Now, the thing that I like about it, and the thing that has given me, two things are giving me confidence. One, Ibu. He's always wanted, whenever he goes back to France, he's always wanted to put it on a show. Going back to his old yards, going back to the team who allegedly have been interested in him, allegedly. He's going to want to put down a marker. He was a captain of France not that long ago in one of their recent international games. He's going to want to go back to France and be like, yeah, I'm the man. You guys all know about the fella that's standing next to me. Check me out. So I'd like to think that he will happily take on the challenge of Dembele and allow everybody else to kind of match up accordingly. The other thing that gives me a bit of life, and I feel like I might be tempting fate by saying this because he might end up having a worldie, but their keeper, don't think he's very good. Highly rated from a very young age. Just looks like he's got hands made of spam. I'm not having him.
Do you think Man U might buy him in the summer? I mean, the other thing I was going to say was, obviously we played Lille, and I think we all thought, they were decent.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And, PSG played Lille at the weekend and battered them 4-1. And I think something mad, like in the first half, I think they had like 15 shots to naught. And it was like, like Lille just couldn't get going, couldn't move. They were all over them. They were pressing them, out of the game, basically. So again, another indicator that, I mean, it should go without saying, but we ain't playing mugs here, no. You know what I mean? It's going to be hard. Brace DeVille is in the comments throwing $10 in and saying, calling it early lads, PSG 2, Liverpool 3. I hope you're right, mate. Firmino doesn't play for us anymore. We can't drag him off the bench with a dodgy eye to score the winner in the last minute and all that kind of stuff. That was 7 years ago.
Wow, insane.
That's horrible, that, isn't it?
Yeah, I could have done without that reminder.
Sorry, everyone.
But what that is a good indicator of, though, is the way I think that Liverpool should approach this game, because we've spoken in previous shows about how automatic it is for Liverpool to score 2 goals. I think it's 11 of the last 12 games, if you ignore Plymouth, that Liverpool scored 2 goals, and that's away from home in tough places like Villa Park and City, as well as at home. You think that even in the worst case scenario where PSG are on top, they're flying, they've got 1 goal, they're looking to get a second goal, the crowd's going, we've got enough players who are concentrated, who are experienced enough to say, look, lads, let's just get through this part, and then we can go out there and do our own damage. And as long as we are within a goal going back to Anfield, if it's 2-1 to PSG, if it's 3-2 to PSG, I feel like, yeah, we can take them back at Anfield.
Yeah. I think 100% the Anfield thing. Like, you know, our record under Klopp and now under Slot is unbelievable at Anfield. And I can remember not so many years back writing pieces saying, you know, it's all about nailing it being a fortress again. It's all about nailing your home form and then you build from there. And that's why, just to bring them in, because we all enjoy a little dig, and here's the little dig, that's why I enjoy the being nothing scary whatsoever about going to Old Trafford now.
No.
And, you know, every team is turning up going, fancy our chances here. Come on, bring it, let's go. And it's like, it's hard to get that back once that, you know what I mean? Once that luster's gone, once that, you know, that fear factor's gone, and the teams are just turning up and they're not just sitting back, they're going, nah, we'll have a go here.
Yeah.
It's not what it was. They're not what it was. It's hard to get that back, and we 100% have got it. And I think, you know, you think about every club, you know, we'll have all kinds of analysts and whatever, and they look at every stat is crunched and all the rest of it, and every one of them will conclude when they do the prep, Liverpool fucking go at home, you know. And then it's like, and that's only what they're doing on the pitch. The crowd as well, you know. And when they're up for it, they're up for it. And look, you know, the rallying cries went out the other night for Newcastle. We all felt like they might need a little push over the line. We gave them a little push. Didn't really need it because they were decent anyway. And like, you just feel like it's just bubbling. It's just that time of year now where the title's not done. Obviously, it's not done until it is done. But I feel like we can all put our real energy into the European nights now. And I can't, like, I'm really looking forward to, obviously, the game in Paris. Not going, but you know what I mean? I could have actually, but I just didn't fancy it. But anyway, I digress. I'm really looking forward to them coming to Anfield.
Me too.
And like, I think it will be really tough. And and like you, I can see it. I can see us maybe even losing narrowly. But again, you would take it because I just fancy us at home against anyone in Europe, to be honest, anyone in the world. Bring them to Anfield and let's fucking go.
Yeah.
Because we're ready. The players are on it. It feels like somewhere along the way, the last few weeks, they've all had a big chat. They've all got on each other's heads, and they've all said, maybe not what Stephen said that time, but maybe a version of it.
Of that.
I don't want to say it. No. Let's never say those words. But you know what I mean? It feels like maybe like the senior people in the squad have gone, listen, we've been here before and then not quite took the chance. This is a huge chance for the league, but for the league plus, and maybe for the league plus. And
yeah, I agree with you. I think that there's definitely been that kind of steel within it, and I don't just talk about the way that they are attacking football matches. I'm talking about the way that they are celebrating goals, the way that they are celebrating tackles at certain points, the way that they are with each other at halftime or full time. It's just a constant reinforcement of yes, this is us like, now.
If you need visual representation of what we're talking about here, just go back and watch McAllister's face when he slots that goal against Newcastle the other night.
Yeah.
It's not just he's celebrating a goal. It's fucking good and yes, this is on, lads, in it, well in Mo. You know what I mean? It's exactly. Like it's like this absolute determination flowing out of him, and he played brilliantly. It wasn't just the goal, but you know what I mean? You can see that's in them. They're all absolutely burning with it, and it's brilliant.
And I mean, Mac is one of the most calmest, mild-mannered fellas that you could meet in the normal main. So when he's like that, then you know it matters. You know that they're all feeling that way. And yeah, I'm like you. I absolutely love it. And we'll have to wait and see how Liverpool go down in the away leg. But I think whatever happens in that away leg a week later,
I'd love to know. You know, you said before, like this was an off air chat, but you know, like as part of, like, so if you're covering Liverpool and around the European games, they do like a everyone will have seen it because they do video of it, don't they? Like the 15-minute access to training and all that, and they never actually do anything in them 15 minutes because they don't want to give out anything away.
I'll be there tomorrow watching them do it.
But everyone makes guesses anyway, just based on whatever. But genuinely, I would love to know, and maybe we will find out. Probably not now because they don't want to give everything away, but they'll. Eventually, if someone's successful, eventually you find out about it, don't you? About what they're doing and the ins and outs of it and all that kind of stuff. So we know little bits, don't we, about Slot. We know that he's got this great record of keeping people fit and on the pitch and all that kind of stuff. And we've heard little bits and bobs about, he's giving them days off here and there that maybe they didn't used to. The kipping at home instead of kipping in an hotel and things like that. But genuinely, like when you're in the run, I know, like they've had a little break at the weekend. And I enjoyed my break and I wasn't even playing. So they definitely would have enjoyed theirs. But I just sort of love to know how like they dial it up and down. Do you know what I mean? So like that, the 15 days, 5 games thing, like when they were coming in, was it just like, just have a game of pool, lads, and do a bit of benching and then have a brew and get off. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like, to what extent did they dial it up and down? Because I thought I saw something by him. And he was sort of talking. Well, I seen he was talking about like in like Euros or the World Cup, you play game. And then I seen someone else saying, but you're not for 9 months. But I don't know. And I also saw something. Maybe I'm making this up. Something along the lines of like like they're obviously good players. They all know what to do, and so like it's not like you have to drill them as such. And I don't know. I'd just be dead intrigued to see.
The other thing that I've heard them say a lot is about how they do tweak their position from game to game.
Yeah,
what I suspect happens a lot of the time is that the main big sessions will be tapered right down. So they'll do like a 15 to 20 minute full team session where it'll be like 10 minutes of just doing all the activation stuff and then like maybe 10 minutes of ball work. Maybe one setup where they're running through a scenario they expect to see in the next game and you're kind of trying to work out what you need to do in such a situation. And then the rest of it would be one-on-ones, like 10, 15-minute one-on-ones with each individual saying, okay, so you know what I want you to do generally when this happens and when this happens, but I want to add this to the game. So when this fella over there is trying to do this, I want you to be conscious of that and that. And just giving them those little extra bits, there's little extra bits to add on top. So you're not overloading them with loads of information. You're not trying to say, oh, well, this is I'm not going to give you the entire game plan for PSG in one go. I'm just going to give you, these are just 2 little things I want you to think about when you're in this situation.
There's meant to be loads of meetings, isn't there? Like group meetings, individual meetings, midfield meetings, defence meetings, all this kind of game. So maybe there's all like, what I mean is, what I think the point I was trying to make is like, you think about all the stories, of the past and, like Steven Gerrard getting told like, oh yeah, go and train with the first team, and so like he goes in and like blams Paul Ince or something, and it's like, and we're all like, fucking get in, that would have been boss. But then like I'm thinking about that and thinking, yeah, I hope there's not a lad kicking around, and who's invited to train with the first team right now, and he's like, I'm gonna show the manager, like takes out one of the lads. And I'm sure this crosses the mind.
So I'd like to think, and this is something that I kind of semi-asked Slot about around the time of the FA Cup, was talking about players who's having their individual ambitions maybe coming into contract or conflict with the team. And he said, if that happens, then clearly I've not done my job properly. Because I still told them all at the beginning of the pre-season what I need from them in order for them to get more minutes. So if they come into it thinking that they've got to make a star of themselves in this training session or in this game by doing something like that, then I've done it wrong and it won't work. So yeah, if any of them are thinking that, then yeah, thankfully it won't work. So I'd like to think, and also like, could you just imagine them trying it on, even on someone like Mac, who's the smallest guy in the team?
Who's him?
Yeah, exactly. None of them will stand for it. Right. So we have almost got to the end of the first hour, which again seems to have flown by. We've not even spoken about the Klopp documentary. We've got all of that to come. We've not even gone into all of your questions. There's loads of really good questions, but thankfully, I believe most of the questions have come from people who are subscribers, so we can definitely dive into those within the Patreon show. We've not even talked about everybody's favourite former Aston Villa chief executive. And we've not really even touched on the Newcastle game, which is the last game of football Liverpool had. So we've got all of that to talk about. We've got all the music chat still to come. But because we can, and because I want to be a teeny bit selfish, just for a change, I want to finish this little bit talking about the US tour that I'm going to be doing in literally 2 weeks from now. So I can't believe it's come around so quick. This was just a mad idea that I had, and now it's happening. So I'm going to be in Boston on Wednesday, March 19th at the Chemist in Boston. For those of you who are Bostonites who are looking for exactly where it's going to be, tickets will be available on the door. Should be around about $10, 5 of which is going to be going to Food Bank. We are going to be doing a raffle, which is going to be benefiting Liverpool and Boston food banks. It's going to be very much hands across America. I'm actually going to be going down to one of the Boston food banks myself and spending a day down there as well. So check out, there might be some content around that I'll be putting together. But I'm really looking forward to my time in Boston because I've been to New York, I've had loads of good times. I've been to Philly, I've had loads of good time. I've only been to Boston once. And the guys who I'm speaking with, they're very determined to say, hey, this is going to be your most fun you have of all of this tour. And I love it. I love it when people compete for my affections. Like, absolutely. Treat me like I am your deadbeat parents. I want all of your love. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. May the 21st, the Friday, I will be in New York. That will be at the Monroe in Brooklyn. That's a collaboration between LFC New York and LFC Brooklyn. That one's going to be a free show. So if you are a member of either of those affiliated clubs, get down there. If you aren't, I will be putting a link out on my socials tomorrow. So keep an eye out for that if you are New York based. And then Philly, of course, Philly. To round it up, Sunday, March 23rd at the Plough and the Stars, the same place we were at last summer. I cannot wait for that show. I always enjoy myself in Philly, and I'm very interested to see what the city looks like after the Super Bowl because I feel like they probably still haven't got over it.
Is there just like rocky shit everywhere?
I mean, not everywhere, but there's quite a bit of it.
I mean, like I need to do the rocky stuff for me.
Honestly, like
I'm not going to get
Philadelphia is so you, man. I'm not even just saying that just because I love it, but you would absolutely have a ball there because the people are just okay. So one of my favorite Philly stories is that this fella who just decided that he was going to eat a rotisserie chicken every day for 40 days. Just down by the pier, and he just put like posters up all around Philadelphia just saying, I'm going to be eating this chicken every one a day for 40 days. Anyone who wants to come and join me, come and join me. And on the 40th day, he had literally a crowd of about 1,000 people. It was just like, he was just sitting in there in his white vest at his table, eating his chicken. And then like at the end of it, he just kind of stood on the table, just kind of like raised a leg in triumph, and the crowd went off. But they're just nuts in a beautiful, beautiful way, and I can't wait to see you all.
I need to get back. I need to do all these kind of things again. Yeah. Like, I mean, obviously, like, used to do stuff with the rap, and like, I love Detroit. Like, that was one of my favorite places that we went to. Just like the symbol of the city was a big fist, yes. And it was just like, it's just like my kind of gear. This. And yeah, I like the people there. It just has a good vibe about it. Like I just remember being in very much like the black part of Detroit, if you like.
Yeah.
And it was fucking boss. Like we were in some bar, and there was very few white people in there. We were very white in there, if you know what I mean, one of them. And like the DJ was just the coolest fella in the world. And like people were just like walking past, like go in the bog or whatever, and he was going, "You're getting some tonight." He's gonna get some tonight. She's gonna get some tonight. And just had like a boss voice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like way cooler than my I just said. But it was just like he must have done the joke about 50 times why we were in there, and it was funny every single time. Do you know what I mean? It was just like, he's bossing it.
And probably
I'm
true.
going to the bog and see if he says, I'm getting some tonight.
I don't think we all need to have been there to know how that one went. But yeah, I'm going to be doing some DJing.
Wasn't single them.
No. Oh, fair enough. I like that. I'm going to be doing some DJing as well as talking about Liverpool in these shows as well. That's very important for me. So, I mean, I'm not going to be doing that, but I'm definitely going to be playing some tunes. So, also, this is a good opportunity for those of you who are out there. If you're in Boston, you're in New York, or you're in Philly, tell me what you think the quintessential Boston, New York, Philly tunes are, and I'll make sure that I pack them with me. So I want to hear from you about all of that. There's so much more exciting things for us to talk about in terms of football. This will be just after the League Cup final, by the way. So hopefully Liverpool have already got one trophy in the can that we can talk about. But yeah, it's going to be a fantastic week. I'm just sad that I'm going to be leaving you. Next time I'm bringing you with me, by the way.
Yes.
Absolutely. So,
and then I can go and fill me boots on Rocky memorabilia.
Yeah, no, there's plenty out there. I'll take you to the old statue as well.
It's right. Run up the steps.
Yeah. All that gear.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Jack, they must do like you know, like when you go to New York or whatever, you can do like Sopranos tours and all that. It must be Rocky tours.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Definitely there is.
That's a bit of me, that. Yeah. That's a bit of me.
Right. Well, for the rest of you, we will be going into the Club Doc and all of the other stuff I mentioned earlier on the Patreon show. But for now, this has been a wonderful hour in your company. Thank you once again for joining us. Anything you'd like to add before we sign off, Robbo?
Perslow as the football regulator. No thanks.
Pers no. See you in a bit.